How much does a Squarespace site actually cost? Now, it could be free or it could be $50,000. And in this video, I'm going to break down why there's such a huge range and how to figure out what's actually right for your business. So first off, the obvious question, how long is a piece of string? This is kind of what you have to say to people who go, how much is a website? Because every single website is completely different. It is almost pointless to ask this question without any additional context. And the context is what I want to go through in this video. So why is there such a disparity between, being able to do it for free and getting a $50,000 website? Well, there's so many different factors that go into this. So when I send a client the onboard form for by Crawford, it will have 3 distinct pricing tiers. So in tier 1, we've got like a simple build that starts at 3.5K and it includes up to, 4 pages, no code, 2-week turnaround. And then I show some examples of sites that were in tier 1. Then we've got tier 2, which is what I call a hybrid build. Now a hybrid build is we'll mock up the homepage in Figma so we can create some nice custom assets. Then it's up to 7 pages, little bit of simple code, so simple CSS, and I think a 4-week turnaround, something along those lines. And then we'll show some examples. Then you've got tier 3, which is like enterprise level pricing, which is it's unlimited pages, unlimited design, unlimited everything basically. That starts at 18. Oh, tier 2, by the way, was 7.5K. Now the tier 3 starts at 18.5K. And it can go as high as you want it. So that starts 18.5 at 7 pages. If you want 700 pages, it might be 300K. We've never done a 700-page site, so I don't know yet. But what I'm saying here is we keep it really transparent, but also I like to, let's say you're the client, I like to give you as much autonomy over this process as possible. So in the onboard form, we'll send over a ton of different questions. And I want to walk you through the questions that will move the needle for pricing. And we can get you to a rough price estimate in this video. So one of the major questions that we ask, how many pages? That is number 1. How many pages do you want? And what are these pages? So this way we know, okay, what's the general size? And what sort of content are we going to have on this site? Most clients, it'll be home, about, services, contact. So really simple. Then some other clients will have a page for each service. Then they'll have a blog with maybe 300 blog posts on. We want events, a portfolio, a call booking page. And then, it can start to really spread. We've got a client at the moment, it's a 50K website, and they need essentially 4 sites in one. They have a main foundation, so it's a non-profit. They have a main foundation site. And then they have 3 arms of the business that they want to bring in-house into this specific site. So it's going to work out to around 50 to 60 pages. And that is an example of that top end, so that 50K site. I've done a 75K website as well last year. To give you an example of why that was so much, it was 12 sub-sites in one project. So what that looked like is your main sort of hub site and then all these satellite sites. It was like a school board and each school had a templatized site. So that worked out again to around, 80 pages in total. We set up a event schedule, a contact, a gallery, a get involved sort of page, about teachers, meet the teachers, meet the team kind of thing for every single site. So this is where you get into those large budgets. If you're watching this, you're probably going to be in sort of tier 1, tier 2 if you were to work with us. And so let's imagine you've said 7 pages. We know what those pages are. Okay, what's next? Well, do you need any code? What specific features do you want? To ask, do you need any code is a bit prohibitive. So what we do is we ask, do you want any specific features? And let's say for you, What could that be? Well, it could be, do you want a filter system on your blog? Like a drop down for categories? Do you want a search bar? If you've got properties, so we just set up a property website for like a land developer in Canada, and he had like a properties page and a resources page. For his properties, what he wanted was to link up his property collection to a filter. So sold and active listings. Then he wanted to sort by price. Then we had a search. Then we had lots of different categories on like the type of development that it was. Above that, we then had a map. So on the map, it was an interactive map, and it had all these different pins on. Red was active, blue was sold, or it could have been the other way. It was red and blue. And you click on the pin, and it would show you exactly where it was, and it would do a pop-up of the property. You could click on the property, go to the property subpage. So these are the sort of custom elements that me and my team would ask you about. So if you're coming to us or if you're going to another developer, keep in mind, how many pages do you want? What do you want them to be? And just as an FYI, if you have a blog with 300 blog posts on, I would class that as 2 pages. So your blog and then a blog post template, which we would then just like duplicate and do content population on. So don't think, oh, I'm immediately in tier 3 because I've got 300 pages in the blog. Don't worry about that. Most developers will be able to export what's called an XML document, or an XML file, should I say, and import that to wherever you are, and it will populate the blogs. So it's not that much of a hardship. Once you have a gauge on that, how complex are your needs? Like, what custom features do you need, if any? Then one of the most important questions is, what sort of sites do you like? Send us some examples and why. So give me 3 examples of sites that you like and tell me why you like them. What's so special about them? And once you start thinking like this, we start to get a much clearer example or a clearer idea of what sort of site you want, how big it's going to be, how complex it's going to be, what style it's going to be. Now, personally, we have about 15 to 20 questions in this onboard form, but those 4 are the main pillars that go into pricing. So let's say you are a property company and you want 7 pages and you want that filter system built out for you. I could say confidently that that would be about $13-ish K. Let's do another example. You're a football coach, and we actually did this for a guy who used to play for Manchester United. If you guys are into soccer or football, depends where you're watching it from. And basically, he has a football coaching business in the US. And he was like, okay, we need 5 pages, no real complex needs, just like a booking page, about, services, homepage, and a contact. So really simple stuff. That was 4K. So you can see there's a huge disparity in pricing, or a huge, not disparity, but huge range of pricing. And it all depends mostly on size and complexity. If you're going to developers, make sure you have that ready for them. Go and say, here's the size and complexity needs of my site. You can go into the weeds a bit with, do you want them to create custom graphics for the site? Do you want them to code a load of stuff? But those main things, if you keep those in mind, you'll be able to get very consistent prices from developers to then compare and bring back, make notes, and make a decision on. Ultimately, you need to decide what you want from the site, what fits your ambitions, and how much it's actually worth to you, because you may not value a website as much as, a huge corporation may do. Or maybe you are a huge corporation and you just don't care. But if you do value your site, and I would implore you to value your site, then it's probably worth, adding a couple of K to that budget and finding the absolute best developer in your niche. So what platform do you use and what industry are you in? Go and find the right person for the job if you value your website. Now, obviously I'm biased because I'm a web designer and developer, but your site is going to be one of your most powerful sales assets. So don't make the mistake of cheaping out on it. That is what I will leave you with. Don't cheap out on it and value your website. Finally, I will say, How long is a piece of string? You won't know until you start going and getting those quotes. If you do want a quote from me and my team, hit the links in the description and we'll work on something with you together.